do we want to kick it off with some cigars, man?
Sure.
All right.
Let's pop the cherry.
So, I don't know if Ryan will have this started by now or not, but this will be Mike's first cigar experience. So, don't judge him too hard.
Especially if I turn green.
The biggest thing is not to inhale it.
Gotcha.
I'm sure you know some of the basics, but we'll cover them just in case. Yeah. Don't inhale, just in your mouth, kind of like fill your mouth with the flavor kind of deal. Yeah, you definitely are gonna you'll get caught pretty quick if you inhale any. It's not going to be a fun experience.
Gotcha.
So, but we had. I'm going to try and pass along. We had a few episodes ago, we had a guy that owns a cigar shop as well, and he kind of walked us through like how to cut it, how to light it, how to, generally proper ways to smoke kind of deal. So Thomas and I definitely felt like cigar virgins on that episode, but we learned a little bit. So I'll try and pass along a little bit off to you. So
much appreciated, sir.
Yeah. So we've got a fancy cutter. In a more traditional cutter. The biggest thing is that the end, it has kind of like a cap to it. So you don't want to cut it like too far in, because then you're cutting into like the actual cigar. You kind of want to keep a little bit of the cap to it.
Okay.
So before it actually starts to, for lack of better terms, before it hits the shaft, you want to hit the tip a little bit.
Okay.
I'm gonna do a V cut. This is from my dad. This cutter.
That looks fancy.
It is fancy. He got me some fancy stuff, man. So that one gives kind of a V cut like that. You want to do this?
Sure.
I got you. I think I cut mine. Actually, I probably did mine sideways. I'll do yours the right way. Well, yours is round. There you go.
There we go. I'm in business.
All right. And then I brought like 4 lighters because inevitably most of these are not going to work.
That one looks like it's ready for a forest fire.
That's not even going to go. Yeah. That's not even going to go a little bit. These cheap ones, they're always a little bit more dependable. So if I remember right, the way that Clyde kind of walked us through this is lighting it, kind of getting it going first, and then kind of smoking on it a little bit and kind of starting to get some puffs until it kind of gets going. And then you can hopefully just let it roll, take some puffs every once in a while, and just kind of keep it going. I always have to relight my cigars a bunch because I get talking and I forget that I'm also trying to smoke a cigar, so
Gotcha.
No worries on that. So.
All right. I have a feeling I'm probably going to have to relight mine a couple times, too.
All right.
Bad boy's not catching it all.
I'd start to do a couple of puffs now, and light it that way, and kind of. There you go. Like a pro. I think you're lying to me.
Nah. Just don't want to look like an amateur.
Nah, you did that. You did that great.
Not bad. Not bad at all.
Dude, those Deadwoods they've got like a sweetness to them, don't they?
Definitely.
Hopefully the smoke kind of helps keep these bugs away a little bit as well. All right. Man, so before we get too far into it, we'll give a quick introduction to everybody listening. Today we have Michael Fulson. We have known each other for a handful of years now. We've gotten lucky enough, or I've gotten lucky enough to be able to work with you and a lot of your clients and your team. bodybuilding coach, has an extraordinary physique. A lot of us wish we had as much muscle tissue as you do.
Maybe not right now. I'm working on my dad bod.
Yeah, I was going to get into that, man. And a fellow new dad. We are technically, we do have dad bods now. I'm trying to do my best to redefine a little bit, but yeah.
I like the shameless plug there.
Yeah. I didn't even- but I definitely did what I called a sympathy bulk when Alyssa was pregnant. I think it was a lot of, I was hanging out with Will Cossey. Do you know Will?
Yeah, I do.
He was really pushing the calories around that time and getting bigger and lifting a lot and having fun with it. And I was like, oh man, that actually sounds fun. So I was hanging out with Will and working out with Will a decent amount around that time. So I kind of got on the same boat as well. I was like, yeah, let's push the calories a little bit. We haven't done that in a while. And it timed up to be right when Alyssa was pregnant. So I called it my sympathy bulk.
Ours was, kind of, once your wife is pregnant, her taste changes and her ability to even tolerate certain foods and smells and things like that change. So for her, it was like, a lot of the things we were normally eating when, we diet, she couldn't tolerate. She couldn't even tolerate the smell of it. So unfortunately, that led to a lot of fast food and a lot of bean burritos from Taco Bueno.
When your wife is getting those sorts of things, it's so much harder to avoid those things.
It is. It is.
Did she have a lot of cravings or food aversions during pregnancy?
At one point, I didn't know it was this common, but at one point, she is easily a gallon to a gallon and a half of water a day, person. And at one point, she had a big aversion to water.
Ooh.
She was like, "It's going to make me sick. I can't do it."
Was she able to do any flavoring or anything to be able to?
That's what she ended up doing.
Yeah.
She would kind of start her favorite drink, an Alani, and of course they have the kind of cap out your caffeine intake when you're pregnant. So
yeah.
She would kind of start about like 4 sips of that, and then kind of top it off with some drink some water, and then take a couple sips, and then drink some more water, and that's kind of how she worked around it.
Figuring it out. How was her pregnancy overall?
It was pretty smooth. I felt like the morning sickness wasn't really that long. She did have a little bit of it. Kind of used some of the tips and tricks off the TikTok.
That's where Alyssa gets 90% of her motherhood advice. It's from TikTok.
Yeah, call it Dr. Google and Professor TikTok. And I'm the one that was on TikTok. She actually hates it. She refuses to get an account. But I went on there and kind of looked for like some home remedies, and a lot of it kept saying magnesium. So went to All Natural Grocers one evening and pretty much got every magnesium supplement they did, and until we found one that she liked and that worked. And that kind of helped take care of that portion of it. And then I feel like the rest of it was pretty smooth. They did a precautionary procedure called a cerclage. I don't know if you know what that is or not, but
I think the only reason I know even a little bit about it is I think you were telling me about it at one point in time when she was still pregnant. So.
Yeah. So we went in. They said everything's fine, but we want to do a precautionary procedure. You're like, okay, when? They goes, right now. You're going to surgery right now, and they kind of rushed her back. It was kind of a big shock to both of us. But they said it's just simply precautionary. Just because you guys decided to have kids a little bit later in life, we want to be safe than sorry. And other than that, everything went fine. I felt like kind of once they decided, once it hits a certain point, they remove the cerclage so you can deliver your baby. And once you hit a certain point, they tried to remove the cerclage and kind of irritated her cervix a little bit. And she went into labor 8 hours later.
Oh, geez. So they kind of triggered it on their own.
Yep. So a simple 10-minute procedure to remove it just in her OB's office turned into a 12-hour procedure with 7 medical professionals, a surgery, and then we did not leave the hospital till about 1 a.m. We got home, and we're pretty sure she went into labor around 7 a.m. the next morning.
Oh, geez.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. So yeah, they didn't even keep you at the hospital.
They didn't know. They removed
Yeah.
it and sent it on our way. So you might be under some little discomfort because of, how long it took us to remove. And so, she called them around noon and it's like, I don't know what your definition of discomfort is, but this is not right.
Yeah.
And then so she calls me around about I want to say between 1 and 2 p.m. and says, I think I'm going to go back up there and just have them check me out just to be safe.
Yeah.
I'm like, what? And now it just happened to be, I was literally about 3 minutes down the street when she called me. So I went and picked her up, took her, and they're like, no, you're in labor.
Yeah. Yeah. That's it is kind of a weird or kind of an interesting time too of like obviously everything else in life gets put on pause, everything else, but everybody's so understanding of you being like, I gotta drop everything. My wife's going into labor. Everybody instantly is like, yeah, we're good. We're all good. Nobody's mad.
Yeah, definitely.
It is kind of this maybe the silver lining to that whole situation. How was labor for you guys? Did it last very long or?
Yes.
Ooh.
So obviously, like I said, we went in there around 1 or 2 p.m. She didn't give labor until a little bit after midnight.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Yeah. So it was a little while.
Yeah.
So, and it, like you said, like a lot of people are understanding, but I have a catering company as well too, and we were catering for 300 people the very next day.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That is tough. So how did you guys handle that?
We knew that there was a possibility that it could happen. My team was prepared. I made a couple calls. My assistant pit master, I'll kind of walk them through some of the steps. It's like, you got this. You've been doing this with me. Been by my side doing this day in and day out. You got this. Without hesitation, and he's like, I got you, man. He goes, you make sure wifey and baby are okay. He goes, I got this. And so the team got together, took care of everything. Sent me pictures when it was done, and
that's nice.
They loved it. They loved it so much. It was a church, and they loved it so much they actually referred us to about 2 or 3 more churches.
Really?
And it's been kind of continuous business since then.
That's a huge voucher for the fact like how well your team did without you, man. As they did well enough for them to refer you. So that's huge that it's you didn't have to cancel. You still were able to make it happen, and it sounds like didn't skip a beat kind of deal. It wasn't a subpar compared to what you're used to, the service that you're used to being able to provide. So that was actually something I meant to throw into the introduction, as well as owner of Barbells and BBQ as well. You guys have catered a number of our events, mostly sample triads. We are now at the point where you guys cater breakfast, lunch, and dinner at sample triads. Yep. So we do. It's turned into a really cool deal, man. We because obviously. Sample Triad, for those that don't know, it's a kind of our open house once a year, usually October time, and have a bunch of vendors out, give out a bunch of free samples, free blender bottles, shirts, all that kinds of stuff, and we also offer free food. That's something we started doing the last few years, which has been a lot of fun. It makes for a kind of a full event, and Barbells and BBQ is always our first choice as far as food, what we offer in food, but it kicks off at 9 a.m. and there is a crowd at 9 a.m. So we can't just do lunch because that's several hours after everybody gets here. Right. So we do usually some breakfast burritos or something along those lines, or
yes. So we try to mix it up because we know that kind of the typical gym rat in gym crowd, they're gonna keep coming back every year. For one, your supplement needs are to an extent, they're going to stay the same and evolve a little bit. And so you're always going to check out the new supplements out on the market and kind of see what's going on, meet some of the fitness professionals and stuff like that. So we understand we're going to see a lot of the same people year in and year out. And we don't want to be like, Barbells and BBQ is here again with looks like some breakfast tacos again. So we've mixed it up a little bit. We've done briskets and gravy. We've done the breakfast quiche. The
quiche was really good. Yeah. No, I think we've done a pretty good job of mixing it up, and I feel like we always offer a little bit of something of, hey, if you got to stay a little bit clean, we've got some shredded chicken options that you can do, but we've got some brisket and some mac and cheese. So
definitely.
I think the one constant is the mac and cheese that Ryan always is very adamant that we have mac and cheese from Barbells and Barbecue at Sample Triad.
Yes. So there's been a couple of events that we've had where he's kind of showed up and gotten the mac and cheese. And kind of in honor of him, we're actually going to try a new dish. And we might name it after him. It's going to be a brisket and mac and cheese burrito.
Oh my gosh. Have you told him about that?
We haven't. So we actually haven't even put it together yet. I'm trying to think about how crazy I want to go with it. If I want to make it something just ginormous and huge, or if I want to kind of keep it simple. But when we put it together, there'll be samples.
Yeah. Heck yeah, man. Dude, that sounds delicious. I know you always end up cooking up something, and it's either at our a grand opening or Sample Triad, and then I'm always running around like a chicken with its head cut off, and then I always end up finding you in the crowd somewhere, and you've got some kind of, you threw together a handful of things that you had that day and made this special entree, and I'm like, oh, okay, I'm gonna go take a break for about 30 minutes and go enjoy this.
Oh yeah. Sometimes we have to fib a little bit, like, oh, we're out of food, and they're like, oh, there's one. No, that's Kevin's.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Oh yeah, like what he said. We're definitely out of food.
But man, yeah, you obviously are juggling a lot of things right now. Man, between the coaching, obviously, I saw Sonny did really well this weekend, man.
He did.
They so for those that don't know, the NPC brought a pro show. We're getting attacked by the bugs a little bit. Got to smoke the cigar so we can keep them at bay.
Yeah,
it seemed.
I need the lighter.
Oh,
again.
I got you. I stole that from you, didn't I?
I babysat it a little too
long. But yeah, like I mentioned, bodybuilding coach and working with legitimately a number of pro athletes, right? You've done that for a number of years. I think you've been doing that since before we moved to Oklahoma City and got Triad going. Have taken on, man, I remember when you first started bringing barbecue to the gym, and every time I'd go to 4-Star, you'd have a little bag over in the corner, and hey, I know it's a Wednesday and it's your cheat meal, Kevin.
Exactly. Yeah. To this day, I still know. It's like, if I bring samples, it has to be on Wednesday.
So always tempted me. Yeah, especially when I was going to that 4-Star on Wednesdays a lot. Barbells and Barbecue is my cheat meal a lot of weeks.
Oh yeah,
dude, I still remember. I can remember one time I got some burnt ends from you, and that legitimately might have been the best food I've ever eaten. It was. I remember bringing them home, and I think this was like maybe on like not on a Wednesday. I brought it on like a normal, like brought it home on a normal night. And I was like, I just want to taste one, And I think I even ate it cold, which was my mistake. I ate one, and I was like, this is gonna be a problem. I know already I'm about to eat all of these, and I legit ate that whole container. No, not part of the plan. I think I had like already eaten a meal, and I ate every single one of them, man. Those were absolutely delicious.
Yeah. That was kind of when we were really trying to establish ourselves as a kind of a, barbecue fixture in Oklahoma City. I feel like it really started out as a hobby. People just thought like, oh, that's just his little hobby. And to be honest with you, we're kind of where we're at now. I never would have imagined, we're at where we're at now. We have clients where we're catering consistently over 1,000 people every month.
Jeez.
We were voted in the top 5 catering companies of Oklahoma City for the Reader's Choice Awards, our Community Choice Awards, I should say. And those are obviously big blessings, but I was like, I don't know how we got here. It was just something that I was doing to kind of cook for all my friends and family for dealing with my bad attitude when I was having to cut weight for bodybuilding. So, just to see where it kind of goes from the backyard and, feeding 100 people for my birthday as a thank you to kind of where we're at now. It's just kind of crazy to think about that.
Well, I mean, I think it goes to show, man, like you genuinely have a knack for it, man. Your food is absolutely delicious. And I think I would say that's a big reason why you've seen the success that you have Would you say that you've seen more growth on the catering side of things as opposed to the food truck that you guys have, or?
That's a tough one, man. That's a tough one.
Okay.
I would say probably so on the catering side, just because obviously with events and being set up with the food truck, there's only so many hours, so many events and things like that. And so we try to keep to the same events where people expect to see us at. So, we have those certain weekends blocked out. And kind of right now we're transitioning to a lot more catering just because a lot of companies are finding out that we have the ability to service, a company for 4 or 5, 600 people, or whatnot. So as people, figure that out and find out, our name is being mentioned with some of the big companies, we're the sea biscuit, mentioned with the big companies, and they're finding out that, and we're getting a lot more catering. So I would say that would be growing a lot more right now.
When you say you're getting mentioned with big companies, is that other catering companies or other you're catering for big companies?
Both.
Okay.
So in the Reader's Choice Awards, I believe we're probably one of the only companies that were mentioned in there. It was like a single location, where some of those were like multiple location companies.
Wow.
Yeah, or 50 plus employees where we're like a 15 person crew. So
Yeah.
So it's kind of a big difference. So.
That is a big thing for growth, is just being associated with other, obviously other big companies, but even just reputable ones as well. Of, hey, they're getting grouped in and getting referenced like they are a company that's this size or has this reputation. I know that's been a big thing for us, is just aligning ourselves with people that we really like the way that they're doing things, and sometimes they have a good reputation or a big reputation, and other times they don't. As long as they're doing things the right way, it's like, man, if we align with you, that's awesome. If we can work together and have some more formal, relationships or partnerships, or can kind of work out some deals together. But honestly, for even just to be in the public eye, where hey, if we can align together and just show, hey, we work together, even if we don't do anything with them, on a formal basis, is just showing, hey, if this person that I trusts Triad, they should hopefully, it sounds like they should be a trustworthy company, and hopefully we're providing the same for whoever we're working with. Of, hey, we're working with, this other business, and people, we've hopefully built some trust with our customers, and if we trust this person, then hopefully I can trust them as well. That man, what's that called? Thomas. This is what Thomas is for. We uninvited him this time, but he helps me remember things. But the opposite of guilty by association. Can't remember that, but that's all right. We'll splice it. Yeah.
We'll put it across the screen.
Yeah. We'll have Thomas's head pop up, and he'll say what I'm trying to think of. So.
There you go. That's kind of like what we do. We associate ourselves with Triad. Like, you like their supplements? Cool. We'll be out there slinging some barbecue at Sample Triad. Come on out.
Yeah, dude. With a name like Barbells and Barbecue too, man, I think everybody would be disappointed if it wasn't you guys that we had out. Dude, we've had legitimately people show up to events because it was Barbells and Barbecue that we've had out. They're like, oh, I've got to show up to the event because they're going to have some good food. 100%. That was the main reason they came to our event.
Okay. I'll take it.
Yeah. All right. Before we get too far, we also have our guest today hasn't ever had bourbon before. So I think I'm 90% sure this is bourbon. So I'm going to double check before I'm a dummy. Yep. Woodford Reserve Double Oaked. Now we've had this one on the podcast before, and it's a really good one. It's always a really good one. This one is a special one though. It is a barrel pick from a friend of ours and another previous podcast guest, Jance Miller. He owns the Wine Barrel. That's actually just about a mile that way, and he is very familiar with bourbons, wines, tequilas. He knows. I went in there around Christmas time because my family wanted me to pick up some seasonal beers. I didn't even know what seasonal beers were. But I went in there and I was like, hey, this is what I'm supposed to get. My family's in town. And he picked me out a bunch of things and ran me through what makes them good, what makes them popular, this and that. So really good friend, knows his stuff. He did, again, what's called a barrel pick. So what he did is he made I don't know if he made a trip for this one. I assume he made a trip, but he at least got to try a number of different barrels. So it's a single barrel that they aged this bourbon in, and they've got a whole warehouse full of these barrels, but each one tastes a little bit different. So he got to go through and taste a number of these different barrels and find the one that he liked the most.
Okay.
And his palate tends to match up with mine very well.
Okay.
And he picked this one. So this is a very unique, it's not just Woodford Double Oaked, it is a very unique, it's the one that Jance picked and sells in his store, at least until it's out. Sometimes his barrel picks they'll be gone in like a day.
Wow.
So I think he still has some of this one, but Woodford Double Oaked is a very, very good one, especially if you've never had bourbon before. I think this one's a little hotter, a little higher proof than some of the other bourbon, or some of the other Double Oaked, but should be a good one. One thing that we do is I'll typically try it before I add anything to it. If it's a little bit hot to you, a lot of times I'll add a little bit of water. Like I just, from my water bottle, just squeeze a little bit of water in there. Kind of mellows it out a little bit. Sure. So, but
all right,
give you a cheers.
So if I start coughing and gagging, be mad at you and your buddy both.
Yeah, we'll just pass the blame along to Jance because he picked this one. Okay. So I've never had it before.
Okay. Here we go.
Oop.
That's spicy.
It's let's see here. That one is 45.2%. What proof would that make it? I don't know my conversions super well. I think they had it somewhere on here. But
had a little bit of bite to it, but kind of like after you kind of got it down, it was just, it's spicy but smooth too. I don't know how to explain that.
Yeah, it's smoother than drinking like a cheap like Old Crow or something, right? Yeah. It doesn't have quite that burn. Yeah. That's when you start to kind of get into that realm of things and then you start to kind of taste the differences of this one tastes extra like oaky, this one had some like cherry and vanilla notes to it, this one tasted a little bit, that's where it kind of starts to get fun.
See, this is why I hang out with you. You have me on my grown man protocol today. You got bourbon and cigars.
Dude, this is the dad podcast. That's why we uninvited Thomas. Okay. He's not a father yet. He's getting married soon.
Okay.
But this will be the dad podcast, man.
There we go.
This is how I justify it to Alyssa. Is this is my time. Like again, I don't really drink or smoke cigars. Like obviously and any other fathers out there know that a lot of your time gets dedicated to a newborn. Yeah, Riley's 7 months old now, so I don't know what age that she gets out of the newborn stage. Yeah. But again, I'm new to this. But this is my time to hang out, yeah. and it's a time write off, kind of like a tax write off, but it's a write off for my time because it's technically for the business.
Yeah, I get it. I kind of like that. Yeah. Yeah, making me rethink this. Maybe I need a warehouse too.
Yeah, maybe you need your own podcast too, man. And then we can do this again on your platform.
That's a good idea.
And then we can justify. Hey, this is
it'd be straightforward too. Barbells and barbecue. We can talk about food and lifting weights and stuff.
Yeah, absolutely, man, absolutely.
Planted the seed. I see it.
So how old is yours now?
She is 4.5 months.
4.5 months.
She is. We hit a big marker this week. She is now rolling over on her own.
She's about to get in trouble.
Unfortunately, yes.
Yeah. Did she figure out? Gosh, I'm gonna get into dad talk here. Did she figure out? Did she go from like her stomach to her back first, or vice versa?
So it happened both ways. So she actually went from her back to her stomach, and then as quickly as she figured that out, within a day, she was going from back, stomach, back.
Figured it out quickly.
Yes.
I'm trying to remember when Riley. I want to say Riley was maybe around 5 months is when she really got rolling over, figured out.
Yeah.
And then this morning, I got my routine where I roll and stretch, and we set her in the center of the bed, and I keep my eye on her as she starts, because she can roll around. Like she can't quite crawl yet, but she's figured out she can roll and scoot her way around. So she'll move very far from where you put her.
Yeah.
I let her, like, I would stop rolling and stretching as she would get close to the edge, but I would let her, like, kind of roll her way off the edge, and I would, like, kind of catch her as she, like, was rolling off. She did that twice this morning. So I put her in the center of the bed. Of course, I'm keeping my eye on her and everything. So maybe Mom probably wouldn't be happy with how close I let her get. So I was like, I want to see how you kind of handle, like, the edge of you start to, like, gain momentum, and, like, it's like my hands are right here. I got you the whole time. So
I did that to mine this morning too. Actually, Sunday. It was Sunday. But we have a Tempur-Pedic, so you squish down in it. She couldn't roll as well as she was used to. She was pretty mad. She was yelling at me. She was like, ah.
Is she vocal?
Yes, very, very. So I joked with a couple of people from the gym. I was like, you didn't tell me that having a 4-month-old was like transporting a dinosaur in the backseat of your car. Every day I pick her up from daycare, she's back there going, ah, ah. I'm like, what is that? I was like, baby girl, stop. You're being the weird kid right now.
You know what's funny is Riley, she's not super vocal. She's starting to get more vocal, but the time she gets vocal is when other people are talking. Mm-hmm. And especially projecting a lot. And the main time is in meeting. We have meetings on Friday mornings. And so we've got most of the team at the warehouse, and I'm kind of passing along information and projecting my voice, because we got some people on FaceTime and people hanging out, and I'll get going for about 20-30 minutes, and I think she'll once she starts to get comfortable, she's like, oh, dad's talking, now it's time to talk. Mm-hmm. And she gets so loud that I legitimately have to stop. I have to like wait for her to be done and like pause for a second for her to realize, like, hey, like, let's give it a break. Yeah. But she's done that so many weeks in a row. It's funny.
We've tried to teach her kind of obviously she's super young, but we've tried to teach her the cadence of how a conversation goes. So we'll say something, and then we pause, wait for her to say something, and then we say something back, and then pause, and then wait for her, so she can kind of get the cadence of how a normal conversation goes.
Did you guys learn that anywhere, like on TikTok or anything, or?
It's something my wife found, and she's like, we're gonna try this. I'm like, okay. And she did it today when she went to go visit my mom, and my mom would talk to her, and then my mom would stop, and she would like start making her little noises like she was having a conversation.
That's honestly smart, to kind of, because I know Riley will start making noises, and I think I learned this after I started doing it. So luckily I just happened to do the same thing, or doing the right thing. Is she would make a noise, and then I would try and mimic the noise. But it's funny, she would be like focused on making a certain noise, and then I would kind of chime in with that noise, and then she'd look at me and stop making the noise herself. And I was like, oh, I'm sorry, I distracted you, didn't I? I interrupted your conversation with yourself. You were talking. I'm sorry.
Yeah, she does that. We call it the Mike Fulson eyebrow raise. If you do that, she'll just let you go.
She's already got the eyebrow raise.
Yeah, she does. She have it down pat. If something doesn't look right to her, she's like, like, baby girl, stop doing that.
Their facial expressions are hilarious, aren't they? Yeah. You good? You need eye drops or anything? Or?
No, I think something flew in my eye.
Yeah, if you're watching the video right now, we're swatting June bugs a little bit right now. Yeah. So
there we go. I think I got it. I finally got it. I was trying to be like subtle about it. I'm like, and then I see you looking at me like, are you okay?
Dude, this is why we don't script it. So then we're not disappointed if we get off topic a little bit. So
I think it's the bourbon, man.
It's getting to me.
It's scratching to come out, baby.
We might see a whole different side of Mike Fulson tonight.
Yeah.
You said this might be an experience.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
dude, cigars and bourbon they're a fun pairing, but yeah, they can be. We grabbed some more mild stuff tonight. So I think the first time that I really paired a cigar and a bourbon together was with my dad, and he picked something that was like, dude, like a really, really dark, like heavy cigar and bourbon that was like 130 proof. And like I think like halfway through, I was like, Dad, I need some water. Like these are great, but
I'm glad you didn't do that because I don't think this table is strong enough to support me.
Dude, our last guest was our last guest was Bacon. He's owns a construction company, and it's funny. I cleaned the whole house and everything, like made it like, or at least like did a quick clean and everything, made sure like everything looked nice as he was coming in. And he came in, he's like, table's a little wobbly. I'm like, of course that's a thing you notice. I didn't bother. I was called out, so I haven't bothered to tighten it yet. So it is what it is.
I didn't even check that part.
Are you guys doing daycare?
We are.
How's that experience been?
We love it. We love it. So we kind of vetted it.
For sure.
We got a bunch of recommendations. Everybody that we knew that either had a kid there or knew somebody that had a kid there had great things to say about it. So my wife went on 2 visits, and then I went on a visit as well too. I loved it. They send real-time updates as often as, like, I think today we had 6 updates from the daycare, and they send pictures. And sometimes they'll just text them directly to my wife, directly to her phone.
That's huge peace of mind, man. Because
sure.
I'm sure that's a big, especially first day, man. Like what was the first day like?
It was rough. For me, I knew it was a necessary evil. It wasn't something that I was just like absolutely thrilled about as having to take her to daycare, but I knew it was kind of one of those things, a necessary evil. Mama broke down. She had a little bit of mom guilt about having to drop her baby off at daycare.
Yeah. That's tough, man.
It was. And she kind of had a look on her face when she looked at me, and she's like, how come you're not sad? I'm like, oh, I knew this was coming. I've been preparing myself.
Yeah. We're the dads. We're supposed to be strong. You're the moms. You guys make the call in the first place. You're the ones that make this decision, and we support the decision and stay strong when we have to go through dropping off. You guys dropped her off at daycare together.
Yeah,
that's smart to go. Yeah, you got it. Yeah, that'd be tough to do alone.
I had a couple of friends suggest that mama not drop her off on day one. For that reason, they kind of had to make that call as well. But it just wasn't something she was going to miss, so we just had to kind of work our way through it. So I was like, I knew it was. I was like, it's coming.
tough, but glad she did it.
Oh yeah,
that's good.
Sure.
That's good. We did. We started taking Riley to swim lessons about a month or so ago, and it's Alyssa again that made the call, but she was kind of nervous about it and wasn't really sure, and she was like, can you, because at that age the parent has to be in the pool with them. Yeah. And she was like, she's like, could you go do swim lessons with her? I was like, absolutely. Like, I'm pumped for that. Like, I'm like, again, you're the one that makes the call. Yeah. I don't know what age they can start swim lessons. So it's like, as long as it's okay and you got everything set up, I'll jump in the pool. We'll have a great time. Yeah. So
that's ironic that you said that. We actually decided to do that last night.
Nice.
So yeah, we were looking online, and just so happened the advertisement popped up on my Facebook, because obviously your phone's listening to you, and we had talked about it. So the ad popped up, and we're like, all right, is she old enough to do swim lessons? And it said you should enter them into swim lessons around 4 to 6 months, and she's about to be 5 months pretty soon. So we're like, oh, it's probably a good time. And then she looked at me and she's like, are you gonna get in the water? I was like, yeah. I said, Dad probably needs swim lessons too.
Where'd you guys sign up at?
We haven't signed up yet. Well, we're looking at, I think, Aquatots is what we're looking at. Where did you guys decide?
I asked that question, and I should have realized that I don't even know the name of the place we go. It's in Edmond. It's I think it's off of
the Santa Fe.
It's off of Santa Fe.
Is it the Fish Swim School or something like that?
Yes. Okay. Yeah. But yeah, it's honestly been super fun. It's like kind of we got our Saturday morning routine now of we go about 9:30, so we can get up and eat breakfast and do everything we need to do. But then we head to swim lessons together, and I love going together as well. Any chance that we get, it's like even if Alyssa's jumping in the pool, it's like I love like just get to watch them and take pictures, and we go grab coffee afterwards. So it's a good time, man. You guys will have fun with it. But you're jumping in the pool first, huh?
Probably, yeah, probably.
Luckily, they'll put you in a spot that it's only up to about your stomach. So,
yeah. I'm one of the I guess I take the approach of I don't want to be overprotective. Let them do things, experience it, but with a watchful eye, but not with a bubble approach, kind of.
Yeah, I had I think it was a book that I was reading that Sean Vasquez recommended or actually gave to me. That was it kind of gave some recommendations and generally some outlining to being a parent for most any age, and it explained parenting as being the guardrails for your kid, of letting them make their own mistakes, letting them learn their own lessons, but obviously, especially when they're really young, is you can't let them make the mistakes that are gonna end up really hurting them or getting themselves killed, right? Yeah. Like an infant can't take care of themselves.
Right.
So the guardrails start very close, but then as they get older, you start to kind of like bring those guardrails out. So if they start to kind of put themselves in danger, you're the guardrails that keep them from being in danger. And as again get older, you start to broaden those a little bit more and eventually get to take them away. And that's I liked that analogy a lot of you're the guardrails. You're not the one keeping them on the straight and narrow.
Right.
Yeah.
And I like that analogy. It's kind of how I look at it. Originally, whenever we were before we had our gender reveal, my wife was like, "Do you want a boy or a girl?" I was like, I want a boy. I want somebody I can be mean to. And play rough with. She's like, you can do that with a girl too. I'm like, oh, well, fine. We'll see.
Dude, Riley's real big. We make fun of her and she gets toys, she'll like grab them and like roll. And I'm sure most babies do this, but she'll grab and roll, and it looks like she's like trying to do jujitsu on their toy. And we're like, oh, she's wrestling with it. So like I've like kind of played with her a little bit and like tickle her and like kind of wrestle with her a little bit. Again, she's only 7 months. She can't do much, but yeah, I think she's gonna, especially with Alyssa. Alyssa grew up when she was a kid. She was very much a tomboy. So I think there's a decent chance that Riley will probably grow up a tomboy as well. So, but we'll be supportive either way. So
same.
Yeah.
My wife is a horse rider. And did competitive horse riding. So she's already been introduced to the two horses.
Really?
Alex and Onyx. She loves them, and they were very intrigued by her. They went up and very gentle, just kind of like checked out her vibe, sniffed her, or whatever. She loved them, except for she doesn't like hot horse breath on her. She gave him the Mike Fulson eyebrow raise and stuck her hand out. I was like, get back. I was like, that's the first time I've ever seen her like try to push something away from her.
Horse breath. That's what did it, huh?
Yeah. She's like, you guys can come up here, just don't breathe on me.
Yeah. I like you kind of close.
Yeah.
How about your dogs? You have one dog or two dogs?
Two.
That's right. Big one, little one.
Big and bigger. Big and bigger.
You don't have a little dog?
Little dog passed away.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. Okay. How are your dogs?
He made it till 18. So
holy cow!
Yeah.
Those little dogs, they last. They're good for a lot of years, man. I feel like it's the big dogs that don't really last. Yeah, that have a tougher time.
Yeah. So we have so she has a dog. I have a dog. And our dogs kind of mimic us. Her dog is a little taller and a little more slender. My dog is a big blockhead. He's a big old gray staffy. So he's about just shy of 100 pounds, and her dog is actually much taller to Irish Wolfhound Great Pyrenees mix.
Holy yeah.
Yeah. I don't see the Great Pyrenees in there, but I wouldn't be surprised if she's a purebred, just Irish Wolfhound. She's just tall, wiry hair.
Yeah.
Real slender.
We had some friends looking at an Irish Wolfhound at one point, and I remember looking at pictures like that's a wolf. That's about a wolf in your house.
Yep. And they're completely two different personalities.
Mm-hmm.
My dog is chill. Will lay kind of like me. He'll lay in bed as long as you let him.
Pit, right?
Yeah. Her dog is up 6:30 every morning and on guard duty, pacing the house, checking to make sure everything is good. She'll move the blinds in front of the house and stare on duty in front of the house, waiting for the neighbors to walk up and down the house with their other dogs or their kids.
It's kind of peace of mind to have a dog like that.
Yeah. Until you have a newborn and her nails are on the floor at all times of the night, and you have to go, get in your bed.
Yeah, that's tough. Do you guys have hardwood?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. That's tough.
Yeah. And we didn't think that through. We replaced it literally right before little mama was born.
Yeah. Lessons that you learn.
Yeah. So she is full of energy. One time, I think I own a lawn company too. I don't know if you know that.
What?
Yeah, Fulson Lawncare. It's a company that my dad started back in, I think, 2003. He retired from the post office after like 30 years of service, and he was bored, so he just started cutting yards, and then he started cutting other people's yards, and then kind of grew it into a business. And in 2018, I purchased it from him.
Wow.
Yeah. So
I assume you don't have time to actually get out there and be mowing these lawns.
No.
Like, does it have employees that are doing all that?
Yeah,
okay.
for sure. So he does the day to day. He oversees it. Gets the crews to the customers, and make sure everything is cut according.
He's
to
doing
his
a lot
standard.
of the managing. You're doing just
Right.
own the business.
Right,
Huh?
right.
Okay.
Yeah. So kind of make some of the financial decisions, but the
Sure.
day to day stuff is kind of he takes care of. But they service my backyard. My HOA takes care of the front yard, and my own company takes care of my backyard. And one time they accidentally left the gate open, and Najee got out. And by the time someone caught her, she was in a whole nother neighborhood.
Oh, jeez.
2 streets into that neighborhood, and luckily she has a tag, and the person called us and said, "We have your dog."
Yeah.
She ran through a field behind her house, and the neighbors, there's another neighborhood like right on the other side of that field, and you can see them. Well, they were getting a pole put in, so their gate was down, and so she ran through their backyard, out their front yard, and like 2 streets over before somebody finally caught her, and she was gone.
True freedom.
Yeah,
Experienced
yeah.
it. That's what's the name of your lawn company?
Fulson Lawn Care.
Okay.
Yeah.
I will. We just started getting this year. We started getting our lawn cut by another company. Alyssa and I were taking turns, and then she got pregnant, and so I did it all last summer, and then Riley got here, and I was like, I don't know if I mowed it, I think once or twice, and I think we both kind of broke down of I don't know if I have time, and Alyssa's like, I don't know if I have time for you to do that. So
Yeah.
we I can't even. Alyssa's the one that found the company and hired him, so I don't even know the name of the company. But we will. They've done a fine job, but we'll probably have to switch up our company. I didn't know that you owned a lawn care company. You made me feel like I don't do enough.
So I heard this little bit of information from a buddy of mine, and he talked about how wealthy people typically have about 5 streams of income. So I was like, makes sense. Try to build a company that, one company supports your lifestyle, and then anything over that's kind of extra.
So are you up to, is that 3 now, or? Okay.
It's 3.
Yeah. We got one big one. That's
Yeah. If you count it by location, I mean,
that's true. A little bit more stable that way.
Yeah.
And then we've got Triad and Define Nutrition. So and we're just really starting to gain some traction with Define Nutrition on its own, on wholesale and online orders and D2C and all that. But up until a couple of years ago, pretty much 100% of Define was supported by Triad. So I don't think you could call that a separate stream of income. They're still under the same LLC, which we'll need to separate here before too long.
Gotcha.
But
don't forget your OnlyFans account.
That's if more people would subscribe, that could be another source of income for me.
dadswholift.com.
Hey, I think I could do pretty well in that market.
Yeah, there we go.
Oh man.
He's
So
like, I'll get the 1 million subscriber tattooed on my quad.
yeah, hey, you heard it here first, dude. I think once you've got so many tattoos too, like you stop caring so much of what they are. So yeah, I'm down. I'm in on that.
I'm a wuss. I don't have any tattoos either.
No tattoos.
First cigar, first bourbon, and no tattoos.
Well, I've got a little surprise for you. We've got an artist hanging out in the living room. Oh man. Yeah, I feel like, I don't know, my cigars and bourbon and tattoos is all still just my leftover rebel phase of wanting to rebel against my parents, and I don't know, still holding on to that a little bit, I guess. So
yeah,
that and the business owner side of things too, dropping out of school and doing my own thing, a little bit of still trying to be a rebel, I guess.
yeah. Oh, my mom's gonna pass out when she sees me smoking this cigar.
Really? Is she not for it?
Man, I don't know. She's not one for change. She's like, I saw you smoking that cigar online.
Is she on Instagram?
No. Okay, that's good.
Okay. We'll post the clip on Instagram, not Facebook.
It's all right. She'll be okay. She'll be okay. I'll just have to remind her, like, it's going to be my 41st birthday this year, Mom. How's that?
It's about time for your first cigar then, man.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So at what point did you guys start daycare?
Pretty much right after her maternity leave was up. So what is that?
How long did she
12
have?
weeks, 10 weeks, something like that.
I
I think 10 weeks or so.
and so she's back at work full time now, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Remind me where she works.
She works for LSB Industries.
That's right. Okay.
Yeah.
And she does that's finances, right?
She does tax and treasury for. Yeah, she's the director of tax and treasury for LSB Industries.
I remember talking to her, especially during COVID, on I think different tax write-offs and different ways to kind of work your finances that year, and kind of bouncing some ideas off of her and getting some opinions and some ideas from her. So yeah, that was actually really helpful around that time. We were able to make it through COVID. Good. So
nice. Yeah, she so she still has her own firm of Lindsay Hankins Bookkeeping.
Oh, okay.
But her full time is with LSB Industries. They actually used to be a client of hers, and then she went to work for them.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. And we met kind of through a Barbells and BBQ. So we actually catered a event at a gym that was owned by the VP of LSB Industries.
Really?
Yeah.
What gym is that?
Blackwall Powerlifting.
Oh, okay. Yeah. The one up in North Edmond, right?
Yep.
Okay.
It's very, very nice. I love it.
It's they did a very good job. You can tell they really went all out, and especially for the powerlifting community, it sounds like they got all the right equipment. They made it look really nice. Yeah. So you can go in there and like, if you're filming yourself or something, it makes for really good content. So yeah, they did a really good job. We had I think an employee or two that had a membership up there. So. Yeah. Cool gym.
I call it the bougie powerlifting gym. It's because most powerlifting gyms you're thinking of the ones that have the garage doors and a big fan and no AC and dirty floors. And
there's a lot of powerlifting gyms like that. That's for sure.
Yeah. They kind of went to another direction, and I think it's kind of really paid off for them. It gives other people other options when they want to do something. If you really want to hit your max and you're getting drained because it's 110 in there, then you're probably not going to hit your max. So I kind of get their reasoning of why they went that direction.
That's a good point. Yeah, legitimately. Yeah, just sweating and being as hot as it can be, like could actually affect how well you're able to lift. And it stands out that way too, man.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
Yeah. So how has three different businesses and a baby. I'm barely making it with just one business and a baby, and most of my work is starts. I say this. There's a lot of days I can get my work done during the day, but there's also a lot of days I don't get to start until about 9 p.m. So, how's the balance been?
I'm not gonna lie, it's been very, very, very difficult. By nature, I'm a night owl. That's with a newborn. That's definitely had to change. She goes to bed at 7. I can't I can't be banging around in the kitchen anymore at 9 p.m. trying to do test recipes and then, taking them out and giving out samples. It's something I have to, be thoughtful of, have to plan out, reasonably and things like that. So it's definitely been a challenge. And it's just things that, my personality is a little sporadic. I'm not going to lie. It's being a little transparent there. I'm a little sporadic. I'm a little disorganized in personal life. And it's, thanks to my wife being so detail oriented and, scheduling everything, picking up some of those habits and having to really focus on, fine tuning details and planning out things, which is, it's helped a lot with me not being so stressed out with everything.
Yeah.
And then also really learning the word no.
What do you mean?
As far as like, barbells and barbecue, my deal is like, I want everybody to enjoy what my passion was. Obviously it's making barbecue. I want everybody to be in shape because that's also one of my passions. And learning to say no, not running extra sessions just because I have an extra hour, and then not using that hour to run an extra session.
Yeah.
Not stacking multiple days of trying to do events with the food truck, where you're doing like a whole week. For one, maybe your staff don't want to work 8 or 9 days straight without a break, and some of them being 10-12 hour days or something like that. So just kind of learning to say no. We're not available, or no, we don't have capacity for this day, or stuff like that. So that's been the biggest adjustment, really.
That is an unimaginably tough thing in the position that you're in, because that's not a skill that I have learned yet. I think at least from my perspective, I know early on that it really put me into a mindset of when we opened our doors and no customers came in, we had to take advantage of every opportunity that we could. And so it was when any tiny little opportunity came our way, it was, man, we got to say yes. We got to do everything. So, which is really helped us a lot, and I think has paid off of man, we were seeing out every single, we got Mr. Toad here to help take care of some. See the toad over here?
Oh yeah.
Dude, he heard about the bugs. He's like, I got you guys.
Yeah. He said, say less, fam.
That's Jabba. Listen, named him. Yeah, it really put us in this mindset where we learned that we just got to see out every opportunity that we possibly can, and just get after everything. So it put us in this position where we weren't saying no to anything. So now that we are in a spot where we've got more regular income, we've got more regular customers, we could afford to say no. It is still very, very, very tough to say no. So that is, I feel you there. That is a skill that I have not personally learned yet. I've been hard-headed. I think that's why, when we've got opportunities of, different things kind of coming down the pipes and different things that we're able to kind of do, is I haven't been saying no. Is I finally, it was Alyssa and I working together, and her, getting to the point where it's, hey, I need a little bit more help with Riley, or hey, I need you to be, just kind of just available a little bit more at certain times, and this and that. It's like, man, that's tough to, it's like, that would mean I wouldn't have time during the day to be able to kind of see out some of these opportunities and take care of things that need to be taken care of. And I was like, well, everybody's asleep after about 11 p.m. It's like, I could work then. So that's my solution right now, but we'll see how long.
And definitely it's not something that, I've mastered by any means. It's something that's, still, definitely in its infancy. And, kind of doing the same thing that you're doing, like, just round table it with my wife, round table it with my staff, and say, hey, what does your gut feeling tell you about this? And they'll like, hey, we're down, or nah, we're not feeling it, or no, it's time for date night. So
Yeah.
like this weekend, there was a miscommunication with a large event that we've done for 3 years. They accidentally sent us an email telling us, hey, you didn't get in this month. And I was like, that doesn't sound right. But wifey told me we were going on date night anyway, and I just hadn't figured out how to make that work since we had already committed to it for all the events for a year. And they told us that, and I was just like, all right, guess wife spoke it into existence. We're doing date night. And they're like, sorry, we didn't mean to send that to you. I was like, well, it's too late. We already gave the staff the weekend off. So they're like, all right, we'll see you next month. I was like, all right, we'll see you next month.
That's honestly, it worked out then, because then that's kind of on them as opposed to you having to cancel on it. Just take advantage of it kind of. Yeah, man, I'm sure that, again, like you said, saying no will be something that and you never truly master it, in the sense of it's always a balance, because you obviously can't just say no to everything. Obviously it's hard to do much business if you say no to every opportunity.
Exactly.
But yeah, it will constantly be, I'm sure we'll get better at it, but there will always be that, trying to find that balance of what to say yes to, what to say no to kind of deal. So,
and I've kind of approached this process even before my wife was pregnant. Some of the guys that have been in barbecue for a while, some of the trainers that have been around for a while, pick their brains about how they transition with children, to find out, best practices, what not to do, things of that nature. And unfortunately, all the barbecue guys were a little disheartening kind of in their responses. All of them said either you're going to have to give up. Pretty much this is what they said. He goes, wait till she starts playing sports, or wait till she's old enough to start being active. And he goes, and you'll give up barbecue. I was like, what? I was like, I'm just getting started. She's not even born yet. There's like, oh wait, so give her till she's 3 or 4, and you're gonna have to either pick between Hurt on Hurt or making her soccer game, because you won't go to Hurt on Hurt. And I was like, there's no way. And they were like, unless you figure out a way to build a trustworthy staff that can take your place. He goes, but with kind of how the labor market is right now since post-COVID, he goes, why do you think there's so many restaurants closing down? He goes, people can't find those reliable type people anymore, just because of how the labor market is. I feel like I've been pretty lucky with the people that I have.
You've got a great staff, by the way.
Yeah, for sure. And some people ask me if, like, are you okay? Because I'll post randomly that I'm very thankful for the people around me. They goes, is everything okay? I'm like, yeah, I'm just really thankful for the people that are willing to help me.
It's good to be thankful when the times are good too, not just
exactly. So I was like, I don't want to tell them like, thank you for bailing me out for something. I was like, thank you for legitimately like just being you and doing what's asked of you, that simple. They're like, oh, okay, I just want to make sure your post. It's like, yeah, no, I'm just really thankful for my people.
That is funny that, you get people get used to seeing that when times aren't really good, and people have to take a step back and say, you know what, like, things have kind of gotten to a bad spot, I need to remember to be thankful. I think it's super important to do that at times when times are good, man. And I try and do that with Alyssa as often as I can. I feel like I usually find time more on the weekends or when we've got a night together of like, holy crap, you've done a lot. Like, not just for Riley, but for the business and myself. And it's like, and yeah, I mean, things get stressful, and we're working together, we're trying to raise a kid together, but man, it's there's times that we can kind of butt heads on things, but there's also a lot of things that I really probably need to take a second and just appreciate you for, and try and do that to my staff as well. Of like, man, we've been going through somewhat of a stressful time of we've been trying to hire on a bunch of people, and like you said, labor market can be tough, and we've definitely gotten very lucky to have the people that we have, but sure, we were going through a period of time where everybody was working a decent amount of overtime, and that left a lot of back end responsibilities for Alyssa, myself, and other people, and everybody's been just working a boatload, and definitely can make for tensions to be high, and people get frustrated at each other, and we need to take a step back for a second and look at how much each and every one of us are doing to keep this thing rocking and rolling. And it's like, holy shit, I appreciate everybody. And like, man, I don't care how mad we've gotten at each other or how frustrated we've gotten at each other. I appreciate every single one of you guys for putting your part, doing your part to keep this thing moving. So Yeah.
I think most people that go into that store, no matter what location it is, I feel like you can feel the passion that each person that works there has. And even to this day, I have, whenever I get a new client and I send them in there and I say, tell them Fulson sent you, they'll know what. And they're like, okay. And then they'll walk them to specific sections. And, it's kind of cool knowing I can send them in there and they're not going to get, sorry if I offend somebody, the GNC treatment where it feels like they have a used car salesman that's pointing them to something that has the most markup on it. So, oh, well, this GNC brand product has the most markup, so it's the best for you.
Yeah.
Like, well, I can't have gluten. Well, that has extra gluten in it for you just because you can't have it.
Yep. Man, that's so the way we look at it is we're very against the grain as far as other supplement stores go, other retail supplement stores go. Of we carry a lot that we don't make margins on. And there's some brands that we carry and we don't make any profit on at all. And eventually we can work out a deal where we can make some profit on it. But if we can just have it available, whether it's this is specifically what this person is needing, this is specifically what their coach is recommending, this is specifically what might even be best for them and what we need to recommend. Ultimately, that's my job and Alyssa's job and more of the back end's job to make sure that we're trying to get to the point where we can offer that at a good price and be able to make a profit ourselves to keep our doors open. It's the employee's job to make sure that they're recommending the best products for each person. You guys worry about that. We'll worry about making sure that what we're selling, we're actually making some money on. So kind of separating the responsibilities there a little bit, at least a little bit, has helped us continue on that path of just being as helpful as possible to every person that comes in our door.
So when you have people that come in, how do you position yourselves in your own house brand defined versus some of the other brands? Mm-hmm. Do you kind of just mention it like you would anything else, or do you kind of like here's this defined stuff, or how do you guys, or is it just treated like any other product?
From an employee standpoint, it is essentially like any other brand in the store. There's really no difference, no incentive, no anything. There's not even a conversation from us to say, hey, you guys got to recommend more Defined over anything else. It is, if it makes sense, great. If not, we know we don't make everything. Yeah. And sometimes people are going to want something a little different than what we make, and that's why we carry other brands. So the funny thing is we almost kind of get a little squeamish whenever a Defined product does make sense, is like we almost kind of feel a little bit weird about making that recommendation because it is our stuff, and we try and really avoid being pushy about our own brand. So this is something that I started doing whenever I was in store a lot, and I think most of the employees still do to this day. Of if we're talking about a Defined product, a lot of times we give kind of a disclaimer of like, just a heads up, this is the stuff that we formulate and make ourselves, and every employee is involved in most steps of the process. Of anytime we put a formula together, we're essentially getting feedback. We're taking rough draft, final draft, every draft to the group to get feedback on each ingredient, each dose, what everybody thinks. Hey, you guys talk to just as many customers as anybody else here. How do we think people are going to do with this product? How do we think this product is going to be received? How do we think that, what are the results going to be on this? So there's involved in the formulating as well as taste testing. Whenever we do taste testing, we want as big of a sample size as possible. So we always do it with employees at meeting, so they get to have feedback on. We always take votes. There's a lot of times where like what I think is the best flavor, because we'll try 4 or 5 different flavors at once and kind of start to try and lean into the ones that are the best and maybe make tweaks to those. And there's a lot of times where there's certain flavors that I personally really like, but we always do anonymous voting, so we can really get a sample size of what do we think is going to do the best. And it's like the one that I like the most isn't getting the most votes, and it's like, man, if we went with the one that I liked, yeah, we'd have a product that I really personally like, but we're not going to sell a whole lot of it, which is not smart. So, man, if we can lean into brands that our employees really like, our products and formulas and flavors that our employees really like, they get genuinely excited about it. But again, that's what really gives that genuine disclaimer whenever we're talking about a defined product is, hey, I helped formulate this product. I helped pick the flavors. I helped pick the ingredients. I got to give all my feedback on this. So like, just full disclosure, I'm very biased towards this product. Like, I just want to let you know that, like, it's one of my favorites, but here's why I think it would do well for you. And here's two other products that I think would also do well for you as well, in case you don't want to go with the brand that we formulate. So we try and be, again, like, because that is something that has happened in the supplement industry a lot, is retail has gotten very car salesy, in not all stores, but it definitely tends to be an industry standard of recommending certain brands, a lot of times the house brand, because that's what they make the biggest margin on. It's become very obvious to the customer that, to the point where we get a lot of customers coming in very standoffish because they assume that's how we're going to treat them, is try and sell them the product with the biggest margin. So we've tried to go totally opposite end and avoid being pushy about our own brand as much as possible, to the point where we legitimately have to, like, again, give a disclaimer anytime we're recommending our own brand. So,
and to be honest with you, Define's come out with several products, and as a prep coach, transitioned a lot of the people over to Define products. You guys have been in the industry for a while, especially you've been in the industry for a while, and your background with supplements. I know you're a no nonsense guy. You're not going to sprinkle it with something and say, well, it's loaded with amino acids and it really has a teaspoon and an entire jug of something, then like the rest of it's filler and red dye 40 and you're good to go, buddy.
Mm-hmm.
So, we've, personally, I've transitioned a lot of my stuff over. I was meaning to come by and get more protein today. But I opened my cabinet this morning to get ready for the morning, and we have the Define Hydrate and the pump. Sonny took that this weekend before he went on stage.
Heck yeah, man, that's awesome, dude. That's really cool to hear, dude.
Oh yeah. So I personally take the pump and the Define Pre. And mix it in Define Hydrate, and that's kind of my go-to. Get you pumped out of your mind,
dude. That's an awesome pre-workout. The Hydrate and the pump. I think I've done that one quite a bit myself, and I think that's an under. People don't think about that combo for pre-workout. That's a solid one.
Yeah, and I like the idea because you think about it, the Hydrate is flavored versus you having to dump just table salt into your pre-workout.
Yeah.
And if you go a little heavy-handed at one time, you won't do that again.
Yeah.
versus doing it to Hydrate, it tastes good, and then you get a good pump. So.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we've got some flavors to cover up the saltiness in there. So that's awesome. That's really cool to hear, man. Because I know, dude, you've been following us and watching the Define products that we've been releasing for years now. So, man, we always do our best to make sure that people in the industry are like yourself are familiar. Familiar with the products that we have, but at the same time, just like our customers, man, we don't try and be pushy. We don't try and work out any special deals or anything. It's like, man, our goal is to just create something cool enough that people want to recommend it. They want to take it. So yeah, but yeah, you hit the nail on the head though. No nonsense. I can be a very simple person.
Yeah.
Like I drink my coffee black. I don't, it's not that I don't like creamer and sugar and all that. It's just, I like, I don't want to waste the time. I like my black coffee. I like it simple.
Yeah.
I like it's one flavor.
I mean, that's kind of how I describe my personality. It's like either it's a yes or it's a no. It's black or it's white. There's no gray. It's just,
I'm drinking coffee for the caffeine. What do I need this creamer and sugar for? So
I'm not as hardcore as you. I need the creamer.
I started drinking black coffee. This was early, I think when our first year or two of business, I was getting coffee. I was grabbing coffees in the morning I'd stop at just like a gas station or something and grab a quick coffee. I was like, I like the flavor of coffee, and I'd put a little cream and sugar in there. And I think there was one time I was in a hurry, and I just grabbed black coffee, and I was like, this ain't bad. And I just never put cream and sugar at ever again. I was just like, I'll just do it black.
I'll be honest with you. I'm not a big coffee guy.
Okay.
The whole kind of what got me to drink coffee was prep. One of the coaches I worked with, he was a drink coffee before and during your fasted cardio, and I was like, I'm going to puke. Surprisingly, I didn't, even on day one, but I sweat like Chris Brown on trial. I was just like, wow. But by the time, like, you know, you're done drinking your coffee, you're 30 minutes in and you're about ready to climb off of it. And you're like, oh, that went by really fast.
Yeah.
And that was my deal. But I would do like an Americano with a little bit of like sugar-free vanilla or something like that.
Sure.
And then have at it.
Yeah. That has gotten me even just some cold brew, or like my last prep, which was 2019. It was Coffee Jerk's Nitro Brew that got me through that. It was like I was getting to really low calorie and like no wiggle room at all on anything, and it was just like, I just need something.
Yep.
And I remember going and getting a Nitro Brew from Coffee Jerks with like no creamer or anything in it, but it was like, that was like the best thing ever. And a little caffeine to boost me, pick up my spirits a little bit. Oh, that was, dude, just basic coffee has got me through. It is funny how good things start to taste when you're dieting.
Yeah, you can't put, especially like when you start cranking down on your calories, you can't put much in it. And I got to a point where I was putting cinnamon in it to get
just
some flavor.
cinnamon.
Yeah, I was just like, I can't add anything else to it. And Gina Rowe now got me hooked on the Nitro brews. I didn't even know what it was. She's like, you haven't tried it? Go get you one. And so I tried it, and that's what I was doing. And I was just like, I need a little something out. And you know, when I wasn't dieting, I was just doing like a little bit of sweet cream, and then once I had to tighten that up, then I was just like adding cinnamon to it, and like, that'll have to do.
How is cinnamon in just coffee?
About like what it sounds like.
You got me interested in it.
Try it, see what you think.
I'm a big fan of Nitro Brew. You got to do it right though. You gotta there's been some places, I won't name anywhere, but there's been some places where it's like kind of flat, or like you haven't made a new batch in a while kind of situation. It's just like, this is technically Nitro Brew, but dude, when you get that little foamy top to it, so good, dude. Yeah.
It made me get some coffee in the morning.
Yeah, dude, I actually saw a tweet recently that someone was like, you could tell they had really gotten into adulthood, and they're like, the best part of my day is the first coffee I drink. And I was like, why is that so fucking true? Oh gosh, man, like I didn't think I'd ever agree with something like that. But it's such a great time of day, though.
It is. I told my wife, I was like, I think we're officially adults. I was like, we are in bed before 9 o'clock. That's it, and we look forward to going to Home Depot.
Yeah, dude, we've been going to Home Depot with Riley just to walk around a little bit.
Yeah.
We go anywhere, and as long as there's other people, like we'll take her to the grocery store. Again, we took her to Home Depot just over the weekend, and it's like we'll just walk around. Like we got what we needed like within 5 minutes, and we'll walk around, and she just loves looking at people and watching them walk by. So
ours is put out by the ride most of the time. Sometimes she'll wake up about halfway through, and she just kind of like just stares at everybody, and they go, oh, she's so cute. And she is so used to hearing that now. I think she knows what it means. And then she just like cracks up. They go, she's so cute. And she goes,
she smiles.
Yeah. So I actually bumped into one of my old clients today at the daycare. Her child goes there as well too. And she goes, oh my gosh, she's so cute. And she just looks at her and goes, I was like, oh, you're eating that up, huh?
Riley I think it's her smile. As I think I do like subconsciously I do like a voiceover for her of she gets this like kind of like grin, like this like she like kind of like squints and like puts her head down. I'm like, ah.
Yeah.
This is what I imagine the sound she's making whenever she'll see people, especially if they make eye contact with her, and she'll kind of get like jumpy a little bit.
Yeah.
So yeah. Loves people though. It's honestly gotten us to be more active because it's like we got to get out and do something with Riley this weekend. We got to go be around people, and it's funny we were doing like, we'd try and go out to like eat or like go like hang out with friends or do this and that. And it's just like, man, we could go walk around Home Depot and she would be just as happy.
Yeah.
Like, so.
And we do that too. We, like take her, here, take her there. But sometimes I'm just like, there's too many people there. I was like, I don't know if I can carry enough bullets for that place.
Yeah.
My wife's like, what are you getting ready for? I was like, you never know. You never know. The bad guys never give you a calendar invite.
Always prepared.
Yeah. She goes, you're just paranoid. It's like, I'm just ready.
Dude, I think I've started locking. I think there was something on our HOA page. I'm not on there, but Alyssa passed this stuff to me. I can't handle HOA posts. I can't. I'll filter them out and let me know what they need to know.
Yeah.
So, but apparently there were some break-ins, and there was someone in our neighborhood that they got their car stolen out of their garage with their garage door closed, and that kind of freaked me out a little bit. So I've like started, like before I would have been like, man, that's crazy, and never thought about it again. Started locking our door to the garage, and it's like, especially because we've started doing Riley in a crib and in the nursery now, so it's just like I'm being extra protective. I'm checking all the doors, I'm checking all the windows, I'm doing, I'm in a little bit more of a dad mode now.
Yeah.
So yeah.
And I kind of did that while she was pregnant, and she it's like kindly pointed out that she thought I was crazy. She said, what are you getting ready for? I was like, whatever. And she's like, she goes, no. She's like, you're just being crazy. I was like, that's the difference. It goes, you're ready to nurture, I'm ready to protect. It goes, there's where our mindsets are different. If something happens, I was like, you're not gonna look at me and say duck. Are you gonna look at me and go help?
Right.
So that's where my mindset is at. So being the technology geek that I am, our whole house is covered with cameras inside and out. There's not one place you should be in our house where I can't tell where you're at.
Wow.
And if you are, I should be able to pick up an intercom and talk to you and let you know I can see you, and you probably don't have long to live.
Warning to everybody that was just already thinking about breaking into the Fulson household.
If Najee doesn't get a hold of you or Kane doesn't get a hold of you first, then
yeah, seriously,
I'm coming
man.
next.
Yeah, not the house to knock on. That's for sure.
Yeah, probably not.
You want a little splash? I'm just gonna do just a little bit more.
Sure.
So, man, even before you guys had your baby, man, I can't even imagine, because I feel like food truck, like with the food preparation and the scheduling, and I know Lindsay helps out a lot with that, but she's also working a full-time job. That on top of all the clients that you work with and all the work that takes, man, that even just those two things has got to be a balance. Is there a mindset there that comes with being able to keep those two 50-50, or does one take priority over the other?
I really wouldn't. Yes and no. So I've been training for 15 years now. So
Wow.
In my head, that's what I do for a living. That's my profession. And to be honest with you, I love my clients. I love seeing the progress that they get. So that's in the back of my head. That's always been a priority. When it comes to the food truck stuff, that's kind of been always like a, evening or on the weekends type thing.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously we're growing and we're doing a lot of corporate events and, lunches for individuals and stuff like that. So that's kind of been in there. So kind of, have some conversations with clients and say, hey, these particular times of day are going to be blocked out in case we have something, and no training on the weekends,
Yeah.
which that's fine, because at one point I was training 7 days a week. I was like, I got the time. Why not? I'll do it. It was like, I feel like I'm going to buy a house in the next year or two. So I was training 7 days a week. And
That's that mindset that gets you there, though.
yeah. Yeah. And what it was another trainer that happened to attend the same church as me. And she looked at me and said, she's like, I told her, I said, hey, blah, 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 I'll see you later. And she goes, where are you going? I was like, I'm headed to the gym to go train. She goes, it's Sunday. I was like, I know. I was like, I still have clients I have to take care of. And she looked at me and grabbed her husband's hand and said, you're going to work yourself into the ground. And she said, you won't have any time to spend all that money you're making. And said, see you later, and walked off. And to this day, I mean, obviously that was like 2013, and it stuck with me. Like, was it 11 years later?
Yeah.
Like, it still plays in my head, where she looked at me and says, you won't have time to spend the money that you're making. And I went home and I had a shoebox full of money, and she was like, she's not kidding. I like literally had a shoebox full of money.
Yeah.
And I thought I was, being prideful. I was just like, look at me Saturday night, and I'm sitting in my bed by myself with an iPad working on meal plans and researching, industry standards of, first call outs, so what they're looking for, at that point in time. And I was like, yeah, look at me putting all this work in.
Yeah.
And then she was like, but what is it for? If you don't have time and you're not really happy, you don't have a personal life.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, okay.
Have you been able to find more of a balance of being able to have more of a personal life since that moment?
For sure.
Good.
My wife would not be with me if we didn't have a personal life. So, thankful for her that she, she's taught me what a calendar is.
Yeah.
and literally we go through, and she's booked out certain weekends throughout the entire year so that I don't accidentally try to, schedule something. So, we're actually taking Malia on her first flight next weekend to try to get her accustomed and acclimated to travel and flying.
Okay, very cool.
Yeah. So
we haven't done that yet. So we've done some long car rides, but not a flight yet. So.
Her longest car ride obviously has been Tulsa when she went to go see Sonny. But
yeah.
She was like, let's get her used to it. She's like, I want to travel. She's like, just because we have a kid doesn't mean we have to stop having fun. And so she's like, we can go on a bunch of family vacations. And that was kind of something that was important to me. So I know, how I felt when I got to go on family vacations. It was just like, cool, dad's not working, mom's hanging out with dad, and I get to go. And I mean, even the ones where we went where we just like a family reunion, I was like, yeah, let's go.
Yeah.
So I remember what that's like. So it was kind of cool.
Yeah, absolutely. We're working on that right now too. Is planning a couple little just weekend trips with just Alyssa, Riley, and maybe the dogs as well. So, man, I think a tough part to that balance, at least for me, is it's a grind. Like, there's definitely times where it's like stuff's got to get done, and it's I am mentally exhausted. I think that the truly tough part to me though is I enjoy what I do a lot. That I think I could very easily get classified as a workaholic for sure. But man, there's a lot of times where it's like I'd rather be working on, this really cool opportunity that's kind of presented itself, or something that, hey, if we were able to accomplish this and add this aspect to our business and into the company, how cool would that be? And kind of getting to go down that path and see where that and put the work in to bring that to reality and bring that to fruition is there's a lot of times I'd rather do that than a lot of the things, to be honest, man. But you're right, man. It's obviously that's never very good quality time with your family, and that's where I'm. That was actually a big conversation that Alyssa and I had last week was, not just putting aside work during the day to help with Riley, but legitimately spending more quality time, not just with Riley, but with Alyssa as well. Riley goes to bed at about 7:30, and Alyssa and I usually get a couple hours, where we can just hang out. And I was using a lot of that time to catch up and do the things that I didn't get to do during the day, or didn't have time to, whether I was working, like whether that was just filled up with work or helping with Riley or whatever it was. But I was using a lot of that time to catch up on that. And Alyssa was like, I don't really feel like I get a lot of time just you and me anymore. We try and spend Saturdays together and do something together on Saturdays. But she's like, I think I just need a little bit of time during the week as well. And it was a tough one for me of like being like, I have so much to do.
Same.
But realizing like, man, if I don't carve out that time, I'm and this is, her words, but she's totally right of you're never going to have time. You're always going to have more things that you could be doing. And she's 100% true. It's been 2 years since I've gotten to the point where I've completed my to-do list. So, but yeah, so that's, trying to make that a priority now. And that was hard mentally. Again, this was just last week, but it's been nice the nights. And I kind of check with her as well of like, hey, like, let's find a movie, or hey, do you want to watch this show, or hey, do you want to just hang out, like, do you want to go do something, or that's my first priority. And she's been really cool of hey, I think I honestly I'd be fine with just scrolling on TikTok if you want to get some work done. And I was like, that's totally fine. If that's what you want to do, I'd be happy to get some work done and get to bed on time. But at the same time, it's been nice on those nights of like, yeah, let's turn something on, or hey, yeah, let's do something, or let's grab Riley and go get some food or something somewhere. And it's been really nice to be like, I have to put work aside, and it's helped me kind of mentally take a break and even just kind of process some things that I probably need to give myself a little bit of time on. So it's probably been good for me too to do that.
So being the tech guy that I am, I put LED strips in the kitchen and in the living room, and in our bathroom underneath the counter, kind of the places that I normally walk past, in the middle of the night. And at a certain time of day, usually around like 8:30 p.m., they turn red. And those lights aren't to decorate the house. Those are notices to me that I need to not respond to clients. I need to stop doing check-ins. I need to stop doing meal plans. I need to stop doing, I need to stop working, pretty much. That's a red stop sign saying you need to stop work.
Yeah.
Because if not, I'll work till midnight. And my wife pointed out, she's like, do you want somebody texting me a meal plan at midnight? I'm like, no. She's like, well, then don't do it to somebody else. Yeah. I was like, good point. Good call, babe. Good call.
What time do those lights turn on?
Around like 8:30, I believe. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That was actually a big lesson that I had to learn. I want to say it was 2018 or 2019 when I really got to fully leave I was working other side jobs and on top of Triad for a couple of years. But when I got to finally leave those and fully invest all of my time into MMW operations, which is Triad and Defined Nutrition, which was a really cool moment because it was like all of my like work effort gets to go to this. But then I like realized that was starting to grow into where I was staying up to the middle of the night of like, there's always more stuff that I could be doing. And I felt like I was accomplishing more by just continuously staying up late and like getting used to not sleeping as much. And then I finally realized like, I'm becoming less efficient by working that way and starting to make not great decisions and starting to not do great personally, and finally realizing like there has to be some boundaries that are set. And that was honestly the toughest thing for me, was figuring out what those boundaries were. And it was somewhat, it made a lot of sense. And I still honestly kind of follow this to this day, even though it's kind of arbitrary. But I when the store's open, I'm allowed to work. When the store's not open, I do my best to not work. If there's things that really, really, really have to get done, like I'll do them. But if there's things that could wait until tomorrow and it's past 9 p.m., I'll push them back till the next day. So, but yeah, that was my parameters. That's what we do for social media as well. Of anybody can message you on the Triad Facebook or Instagram page. So whoever's in charge of that is during the day, during hours of business, we want to be trying to respond as often as possible. But outside of business hours, that's where you can shut it off. Don't worry about responding to it. I assume and would hope that most people would be understanding it if they send a message at 2 a.m. in the morning that we're not going to respond. So, but during normal business hours, we are going to be quick. So,
you ever think about setting an auto reply during those specific hours?
Yeah, honestly, that does make a lot of sense. I don't think that we do, but that being said, I haven't been in charge of messages in a while. I bet you if Ryan were still here working the camera, he may have a response of like, oh, we've already got one. And which would be cool. Ryan has implemented a lot of things since he's taken over social media, and we've got other people helping with messages and whatnot. I don't know if that is one though, but that is actually. Can you do that on Facebook or Instagram? Do you know?
I have one for Facebook. I'm not sure if you can do it on Instagram. I know Facebook used to grade you, remember, on your response times.
Yeah.
So I started doing auto replies after like 8 p.m. And I did it all the way till 8 a.m. So 8 p.m. to 8 a.m. it auto replied to you and say, hey, we appreciate your, contacting us. We'll get back with you during our working hours at 8 a.m. or whatever. So.
And then does it keep the message like unread on your inbox kind of deal?
Yes.
That's nice. Mm-hmm. Yeah. If we don't have that, we should implement that actually. Yeah. Okay. Ryan, if you're listening, I'll try and remember to tell you because he doesn't. I don't think he listens to these episodes all the way through. He makes sure the audio and video is lined up, and he's like, "We're good to go."
So, what's been the biggest thing to help you balance all of the things on your plate? So, you have Define, we have Triad, and you have a podcast.
Mm-hmm.
So, anything else I'm missing?
Baby
too. Sorry,
baby,
I left that one out. So
yeah.
Too.
Yeah. Business wise, man, not that I am great at this, so maybe don't take all of my advice. Again, I'm telling stories about working in the middle of the night now, so maybe don't listen to everything I say. I would say getting good at delegating has definitely helped me a lot. I legitimately, for a period of time, and still sometimes today, will have on my to-do list, go through your entire to-do list and pull everything off of there that somebody else can do and pass that to somebody that has the capacity to be able to take that responsibility on. It was something that I wasn't a natural at, and I don't think humans are typically naturally good at. Like, it's just not in human nature to do that a lot, especially when you're starting your own business and you're running it a lot yourself. You get used to doing everything on your own. That you have to build the habit of passing things along. I will say I think I've gotten pretty good at that habit now of it's almost subconsciously every time something comes onto my to-do list is who would be best at taking care of this responsibility. And sometimes it's legitimately, hey, I do think this one's best if I do this one, or it's probably not going to go super well if I do pass this along. I think I need to take this one on myself. But I think pretty much everything that ends up on my to-do list, I'm looking at it and trying to pass it on to somebody else, because I get to the point again where I don't have the bandwidth to be able to accomplish every opportunity that comes our way, or everything that has to get done our way, that I have to pass along a lot. That it's us as a company, we don't operate super well if I become that bottleneck that everything has to flow through. So I think getting really good at that. I think again, we've gotten very lucky to have a team of people that legitimately I I get to ask the question, who else could do this as well as I can? There's a lot of times where it's who can do this better than I can, which is a really cool thing because it's a lot of times, a lot of responsibilities. This person will legitimately do better than me with this responsibility. And that's super fun to pass it along to them because it's usually something that they're really excited to take on. And it ends up having a much better, like we end up in a much better spot because they handled it as opposed to me. So I would say that's been the way that I've been able to balance everything. I think, man, you talked about, when your kids get to be the age of they're playing in sports and you have to kind of start making choices between the business and the kids. That's been a big motivator to me is trying to get to the point where I don't have so much that I have to do, that I have a lot where I can do it, but the business and the growth of the business isn't dependent on me having to do that. It's creating not just financial freedom, but freedom of time to be able to, if I want to work all day long and stay up late at night and working on stuff because I want to and it's fun and they're cool opportunities, great. But if I also needed to drop everything because Riley needed something or she had some sort of event going on or just needed my attention just generally throughout the entire day, is I could give an entire day. I could give multiple days if I needed to. We are not at that point yet. If I can do that, I'm very, very lucky to be at the point where I can do that and push almost all of my responsibilities back to the middle of the night, which is not fun in itself, but I'm very lucky to have the capability of doing that. But I want the possibility of being able to push everything off until the following day, or even just only work on the things that are fun and are more opportunities that the business again isn't dependent on me. So we're not at that point, and that's I think why I'm probably working a little extra hard right now is to try and work to get to that point. So which delegating is definitely a really, really big part of that, and we've got some moves that we're going to be making as a business. Hopefully over the course of the rest of this year, to really set ourselves up into a position to maybe not quite get to that point, but be in a position where we're very close or could really start to work to get into that point. So,
does that sound like another location, or what does that look like?
It could be a very big part of it. But that is. We'll say that is a piece to the puzzle. So, right. You talked about scheduling earlier, and I mean, I'm coming from a very, very opposite standpoint, which is, I will let you know that is equally as bad as where you said that you're sporadic. I am very, not naturally this way, but I've become very, very, very type A and very detailed, very calendar, very schedule oriented. I write my schedule is. My entire week is planned out by every 15 minutes. I have had to get good at being more flexible about that because it's not fun when things don't go according to plan. But yeah, the big picture plan of trying to create more time, more freedom of time, for not just myself, but Alyssa and actually others at the company as well. There's a lot of pieces to that puzzle, and I'm trying to stay in a mindset knowing that not every piece is going to fall exactly the way that we think it will, because I'm going to be very disappointed if that's the expectation because things never go that way. So yeah.
My cousin always tells me, he's like, you can either have perfection or you can have progress. So you can't have both.
Yeah, I'm gonna be hard headed. We're gonna be perfect, and we're gonna progress. Yeah, so I like that saying a lot, man. That's good. Anything in the works for coaching or the barbecue or the catering or anything that will be coming to fruition that you can share with us over the next year for anything?
Yeah. I don't mind sharing. We don't really have a whole lot of secrets.
That's good because we don't have a lot of followers.
You do now because of the tattoo.
That would get a lot of attention. Live tattoo.
Oh, yeah. As far as we'll start with barbells and barbecue. Tyler from Triad is now handling all of our photos and videos and stuff for us. Yeah. Yep. So he's gonna be with us pretty much throughout the rest of the year.
Heck yeah.
That way we have updated content. We keep our website updated. I have an assistant, Jamie. She's gonna help me kind of make sure the website stays updated, make sure all of our events and our locations and stuff are gonna be updated on the site. And we are in the talks with a marketing company to try to create a little bit more brand awareness. That way, some of those large companies know we exist, know we have the capacity to serve their companies, and let them know we're putting out some of the best barbecue in Oklahoma City. I'm not one of those guys that's going to say, well, we're better than this, we're better than that. It doesn't matter. As long as you like our food, that's all that matters. As long as you like our food, you recommend us. That's it. That's all.
We're going to do the best we can.
Yep, that's it. Mm-hmm. I'm not here to necessarily beat anybody. It's kind of another thing that was pointed out to me from somebody much wiser. There's like, there's a bread aisle, right? And I'm like, yeah. It's like there's 95 different kinds of bread out there, and there's a reason. There's bread for everybody. Like, it's kind of the same thing with barbecue. There's something out there for everybody. But working on that, just kind of creating brand awareness. Like I said, talking with the marketing company. Tyler starting our videos and stuff like that.
Tyler's an awesome dude. That's really cool. He's working with you guys.
Yep. He was with us Sunday and did a miniature shoot with Sunny. So we have some content coming out from that.
That's awesome.
Post show. Yeah. It was pretty cool. He was very meticulous on lighting and body position and stances and stuff. It was really cool to see. As far as Body by Mike, Tyler going to be shooting some more content for that as well too. We have some clients that are going to be coming out of hiatus. Have about 4 to 5 clients that'll be competing between August and September. A couple high profile clients that should hopefully get their pro cards this year.
Nice.
The goal with that is to try to get to 10 pro cards by the end of next year. So we're currently at 6, and we've had a couple people get close, a couple top 10. So we're sitting at I think about 42 top 10 finishes at nationals, 6 pro cards. I want to say like 30 overalls.
Jeez.
So yeah. So not bragging, but I guess kind of. But so we're just kind of working on pushing those numbers, getting those clients the cards that we're looking for.
Yeah.
And kind of the back end, slow process, but maybe have a Body by Mike app come out so we can service more people across the U.S., other parts of the world. Maybe people that aren't necessarily in a financial position to say, hey, I want to hire you one-on-one, where they can go on the app and say, hey, I just want an arm day for a month. Hey, I just want a chest day for a month. Or, hey, I just want a simple low carb diet, or hey, I want a low fat diet, or just kind of giving them kind of generic options, so that way they have at least a starting point.
Creating more options of bread.
Right. Exactly. And then Fulson Lawncare, again pivoting to gain more market share, kind of like Barbells and Barbecue. Going to kind of aggressively attack some of the HOAs that are out there as far as gaining some market share there. So also creating some more brand awareness. So we'll see some more marketing stuff come out with that. We've kind of been the quiet ma and pa company and not really wanting to ruffle any feathers, but now we're like, we're kind of meticulous with what we do. We have a good product, we have a good service, and we need more people to understand that. So, a lot of times we give quotes and people are like, well, so-and-so's kid down the street told me they'd cut it for $15. That's fine. Well, then call us to come fix it when he does.
Yeah. Yeah. It's cool when you can get to that mindset of, hey, we know what we have to offer. This is the best price we can offer it at. You can take it or you can leave it. we had to learn that a lot in getting into supplement retail, with it being very common to do deals or discounts and price matching and this and that. Man, we knew when we were going into business of, we're going to offer it as low as you can find it. We're going to offer it. We're going to find the cheapest price online, and we're going to offer all of our products at that price or lower. And if we find lower prices online, we'll lower the price every single day. And then you still get people coming in of, are you running any deals? Are you doing any discounts or this or that? And it's like, look, man, like it was a tough thing to learn of we know what we have to offer. And we know we've got good prices, and you just got to take it or leave it, man. So,
and we've talked about this before. I send my clients there for the relationship and for the experience that they're going to get with your employees. I don't do it because of your prices. I don't know what they are. I really don't. And to be honest with you, as a coach, I get discount codes with every supplement company that you guys carry. I send my people in there anyway. I can make money off of it, but they get a good experience. They get to grab their products up front, and they get to leave and get started on their fitness journey right away without having to memorize discount codes or go online, wait for it to get shipped to them, and hopefully that somebody doesn't snatch it off their porch or anything like that. They can just go in, awesome experience with Triad, and get their products. And on the back end of it, you're like, well, you're missing a lot of money from your ambassador codes. So what? My client gets a better experience that way. So it's worth it to me.
That's a really cool mindset. Obviously that helps us out a lot. Yeah. So I appreciate that. If it gives you or clients any peace of mind there, a big thing for us is anytime we bring a brand in, we look at what a price is online, what's the biggest discount that they offer. If you're using somebody's code, we want to be able to be at that price with the code, knowing that you can't find deals or discounts online that get us cheaper. We're going to not just figure out what the listed price is online. We're going to figure out what the cheapest price online that you are capable of getting. And then we're going to carry it at that price. So, the confidence that you have in us is very, very well appreciated. Man, what was the second part that you just said? I had another point, but I totally lost where I was going. I remembered the focusing. I think that's a great example to try and take us out of the equation, because obviously I've got some bias in there. But to take us out of the equation, man, I think that's a great example for laser-like focus of the ultimately. The thing that can make you the most successful within coaching is happy clients that are getting results, and that I think it can be a very tough thing to do, because once you start, and I'm sure this is true for pretty much any industry, of once you go into business, there's ways to make money on this little side income here, a way to make a little bit extra income here. Like for us, I think a good parallel to this is t-shirts. We do a boatload of t-shirts. We spend more on marketing on t-shirts than anything else. A big part of that is especially if we're dropping some, if we're starting to represent well, especially if we're dropping some really cool designs and we really nail some of our shirts, is they'll sell out fast. We do several hundred shirts and they'll be gone in a day. And it can be tempting for us to say, hey, a lot of times we sell our shirts for $10-15. Sometimes we legit just hand them out just to say thank you to the people that support us. But even when we're selling for $10 or $15, it can be tempting to say, hey, we paid, $5 or $10 on the shirt, depending on material and the print and all that. It can be tempting to say, hey, let's keep that $5 or $10 per shirt for 300 shirts. That could be pretty nice. But at the same time, we are not a shirt company. We're not a clothing company. And the shirts for us are a way to market ourselves, to brand ourselves, and the more we can get out there, the better our supplement store will do. That is our business, is our narrow focus is supplement retail. And the more we can do to support that narrow focus, the better we'll do overall. So we could potentially even mark our shirts up a little bit and again take some of the profit, but we either hand out the shirts completely for free, or all of the profits get donated to a charity. We never keep any of the profits ourselves, so we've never made any money off of the shirts that are out there. It is purely just branding for us. That's the main reason that we do them. And sometimes there's a cool side benefit of we get to donate the profits to a cool charity. So it's very easily something that we could look at and say, hey, yeah, that's extra, that could be extra income, that could be extra profit for us. But we've kept our focus narrow, and it's worked out really well. We can keep the cost of our shirts down really, really low. Even if we're only donating a couple bucks, if we're handing out a few hundred shirts, that's $600 we get to donate somewhere. That's pretty cool. Yeah. But yeah, it's worked. I guess I don't know what it would have been like if we were trying to keep the profits, but that is something that's worked really well for us to not worry about trying to make money off of our shirts, because we're not a clothing company. Yeah. So, yeah.
And if I'm going to be transparent, I stole that strategy from you this year. Have you noticed that Barbells and BBQ has come out with about 4 shirts now?
I have been seeing some shirt drops.
Oh yeah. That's simply from the triad marketing ploy. So,
are you handing those out more, or are you doing
a little bit of both? We post them up for sale. And we've done a couple of specials. Like we did a herd on herd. You spent $30, you got a free shirt.
Yeah.
I mean, so that's not a whole lot in the grand scheme of barbecue. So it's buy a dish from you and your spouse, and then get a free shirt. So we've come out with a couple new ones. And anytime somebody sends me a message or something on social media saying, hey, we tried your food, it was awesome, blah blah blah, I'm like, cool, what's your address? We'll send you a shirt. Or hey, come check us out and show me this post, and we'll get you a shirt next time you come. So same thing. We're trying to get a little bit more awareness, get the shirts out. And it's kind of cool to see those bouncing around at the gym.
Yeah.
Somebody sent me a message saying they saw one at the airport a couple weeks ago.
Nice.
So I was like,
Heck yeah, man. Dude, that's I'm sure building not just awareness, but a following too. Like when someone gets like a shirt, like a t-shirt that they can represent, like even if nobody else notices. And I think that was a big thing for us that we had to realize, like getting into it, is like, dude, even if we do 100 shirts, and we give them away for free, we're still not saturating. We might not be saturating a whole lot, but those 100 people that got that shirt are gonna be pumped about Triad now, because they got something like they can represent. Like they're bought in now. Like they're a loyal supporter now, man. So those people that are getting those shirts for those reasons, man, I bet you have more loyalty because of it. So.
And being on the other side of it, obviously being a customer of Triad, you see those shirts floating around, and you know what it's like to get one of those shirts. You feel like they're part of the brotherhood. You got a Triad shirt, and you literally, you could be somewhere else, and you see a Triad shirt, and you're like, you're pointing back at each other, like, you got a Triad shirt? Me too. Like, who did you get yours from? Like, I got mine from Tyler. Like, I got mine from Anthony. Like,
dude, same for Barbells and BBQ. I will say I've seen other Barbells and BBQ shirts on. Usually I end up knowing who they are. But dude, I would not be able to stop myself. If I were at the airport and I saw someone with a Barbells and BBQ shirt on, I would be like Alyssa would be like, don't do it. Don't. But I'm like, I'm tracking that person down, and I got to talk to them, because if they know Mike, I know Mike, and like we both know Mike. Exactly. I had to do that. There was someone with a Pride Food shaker at 4-Star in Edmond the other day, and I didn't even know whose it was. It was just on one of the plyo boxes, and I was like, that's a Pride food shaker.
Yeah.
I'm like, man, I don't usually see like people with like Pride food shakers around. And I was like, all right, like I was like gosh, I can't even remember what I was doing, but I was on a piece of equipment, like eyeing down that shaker of like trying to figure out, like watching who was going to grab it. Cause I was like, I'm going to approach him.
Yeah. So you know my assistant pitmaster Terry, right?
Yeah.
So we did an event for Anheuser-Busch where Jess works at, and so she came up and started talking to us, and Terry is a huge Rice and Grinds fan.
Yeah.
And she was up there talking to us, and he has no clue who she is. And then I was like, do you know who that is, Terry? He's like, no. I goes, that's Mrs. Rice and Grinds. He's like, what? And he's like, the strawberry banana is my favorite. She's like, it's getting ready to go away. Sorry.
Stock up now.
Yeah. So, and he's like, what? That's the best one. And then he goes, that's crazy. I didn't know that's who that was. I'm like, oh yeah. You're a celebrity now, man.
Dude, I feel like that's been one of my favorite parts about moving to Oklahoma is there's over 1 million people in the metro, but somehow it just still feels like a small town, man, where like everybody knows everybody, where you talk about, getting to know the person that owns Blackwall Powerlifting and happening to see Jess at an event. And it's, man, I feel like I run into people that I know anywhere I go and everybody knows everybody. Yep. And I'm sure a lot of it is just the fitness industry is smaller than the population overall. But man, that is genuinely has been one of my favorite things. Listen, we've been here we're getting close to a decade now, which is crazy, but it's felt like home since we've moved here. And I think that's a big part of it is just everybody seems to know everybody somehow. And it's like, how there's over 1 million people here. Like, how is that possible?
Yeah. That happened this weekend. So, pre-baby, we had a routine every weekend. Saturday night was our cheat meal. Mm-hmm. Our official cheat meal. We might have had other ones, but that was our official cheat meal.
Unsanctioned cheat meals.
Yeah. So our sanctioned cheat meal was sushi bar. Every Saturday night, sushi bar. Our waiter that's been helping us for like the past 2 years, we've talked to him. We've become really close friends with him. He got us like a baby gift, everything like that.
Did he really?
Yeah. So we've become really close. We've been trying to get him to come to the gym with us, and he hasn't yet. Bumped into him at Tulsa at the contest. His sister was competing, and I was like, "What? I didn't know. First of all, I didn't know you had a sister. Yeah. Second of all, you didn't tell me that she was competing, and it's somebody from 4-Star too." And I was just like, "It's a small world."
Yeah. Gosh, that's great. It's no matter how many times that ends up happening too, like, and it happens so much here in Oklahoma City that you end up running into people that, like, we saw one of Alyssa's old coworkers at Fassler's for AJ and Julie we're doing a kind of a going away party. So we were there and we bumped into them and we're like, what are you guys here for? Like, it was just, I don't know, no matter how many, like, it happens every time we go out, but it's still just as cool every time it happens, man. So
AJ, if you see this, I'm still mad that you moved. Boo.
AJ listens quite a bit to the podcast episodes, so
I figured he would. So,
yeah. That's AJ will definitely hear that.
In case you didn't, boo.
Oh man, we are officially over 2 hours.
Oh wow!
It doesn't feel like 2 hours, does it?
It doesn't.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
It's you just kind of get going with it, man. Yeah. Like I said, dude, it's we treat it as let's just hang out, have a good time,
let the bourbon flow.
Yeah, let the bourbon flow. And we'll set up the camera and the mics and record it if people want to listen. Cool. If not, no worries, man. So,
I'm just impressed I didn't start dancing on top of that table.
We're gonna have to pour more bourbon next time.
Yeah, maybe.
We'll have you back, and we'll up the proof, and we'll up the amount of drinks that we pour. So.
I'll bring barbecue to help keep me sober. How about that?
Dude, I'm not going to argue you bringing barbecue at all.
Okay. And then maybe I'll let the cat out the bag that we're going to make the Ryan burrito with a mac and cheese brisket combo.
Yeah.
A couple other goodies in there.
Dude, if you told me anything costs $100, I'd pay you. I'd pay you $100.
Okay.
I have had a couple of glasses of bourbon, so
I'll lie and tell you it's Wagyu.
that'll help me justify it to Alyssa.
Yeah, exactly.
Hey,
Yeah.
there is tomahawk steak in this.
He said it's 6 pounds.
Yeah.
Babe, it's like 6 ounces.
Oh man. Well, Mike, man, really appreciate you taking the time. Obviously, you are a very busy individual, a new dad. I was excited. I feel like I haven't gotten to catch up with you in a while, man, and we've both been very much in dad mode recently.
Oh, yeah.
And man, this was fun to catch up with you, man. And we'll definitely have to.
Definitely was. Thank you for having me.
Yeah.
We'll have to have another leg day pretty soon.
Yes, dude. I've been training legs hard, and I think a big part of it is just being in the mindset of like, I'm prepared if I ever get thrown into a Mike Fulson leg day again. I have to be prepared for that. I can't be unprepared for a Mike Fulson leg day. So, one leg day has got me going pretty good.
Yeah. You did awesome, man. It wasn't you killed it. So.
I didn't throw up like Alfonso.
Oh
so.
my God.
Dude, I was actually just thinking about that earlier today, that leg day that we all did together. And Alfonso, he made it through.
Oh man.
But afterwards,
he was pretty green. He had his sea legs on.
Oh man, dude, I remember. Yeah, that's he was pretty out of it after that, holding up his trash bag.
Yeah. It was like, it was like a guy with a fight with Mike Tyson. He got knocked out and was still talking trash.
I don't remember that.
Yeah, he's talking trash. That's why he got some more, and then he started puking everywhere.
Oh yeah.
I was like, just tap out. He's like, no, I can take more. I was like, okay.
That is true. He did talk a lot of trash leading up into that.
He did.
That wasn't smart. I kept my mouth shut. That's how I survived.
Yeah. Sometimes you learn, sometimes you don't.
Well, anything else you'd like to say, man?
Boomer sooner.
Boomer sooner. All right, guys. I think this is for episode 47. Hopefully I'm right. I've been wrong before. So I should probably start saying the episode number before we start drinking and smoking cigars. But as always, guys, appreciate you listening. I hope you like this one even more without Thomas. I bet we'll get more requests without Thomas. Yeah, we'll start not inviting him more often. So
he's technically still here. You got the picture of him.
In spirit.
Yep, there we go.
All right, guys. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening.